This is a big box. With its expansion just around the corner, I figured now was a perfect time to share my thoughts on the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era, BOTSE, as you'll see as people make an acronym for a big name and an even bigger box. This is from Chip Theory Games, and we're going to talk all about it. This campaign game that's not a campaign game, this lifestyle game that is a lifestyle game. A game filled to the brim with so much premium, you won't know what to do with yourself. This is a big game. This is a game that a lot of people have frothed at the mouth at, myself included. And it's a game that proposes to put you into the boots of a hero of Tamriel. All these different heroes, all these different classes, ready to take on the world as you wander around this little map and pretend you're a big, scary adventurer who has never taken an arrow in the knee. Betrayal of the Second Era is an intimidating beast. Forget these multiple maps. It is a game that gives you, what, a 96-page rulebook? 96! It's almost like I've read through the entire thing. In addition, well, this is for the Valenwood expansion, but each province comes with their own unique gazetteer to uncover the hidden worlds of the lands, the different quests, the different cities that you will be visiting, the traveling caravans that you might stumble across, and each land's specific rules. There is text on text on text on text on text. So much so that you'd think this was a giant campaign game, which it is in a sense, but really it is a sandbox system, a system that encourages you to spend time contemplating the universe, or at least the universe of Elder Scrolls, to engage in a contemplative pursuit as you level up different skill paths with, in true Chip Theory fashion, a different number of dice, and explore what it's like to create a Elder Scrolls Skyrim style character. I've had a tough time figuring out what to say about this game because I think it's going to really gel with some people and I think it is going to be completely awful for others. But let me tell you a little bit about what you are actually going to be doing with this game. Number one starts with creating this character. All these different chips. I should mention that any of the inserts that you see, the 3D inserts, these, oh, I have a green screen filter on, that's why you can't see the Argonian's face. But these were created by the magnificent Hextra, who sent me these, and I have a video of unboxing all of these specific elements. But you start the game by choosing your character. The base game, or the game that I have, because I also have Valenwood, and I'm not sure what was added now. It has been so far removed from what has been added. But you'll get to pick from these 10 different characters. The Orcs, the Red Guard, the Imperial, the Breton, the Wood Elf, the High Elf, the Dark Elf, well, the Nords, the Argonians, and the Dark Elf. These are all pretty much the same, except each class has their own special ability, usually a once per battle or once per round ability, and then they have different health, stamina, magic, combat, and cooldown stats to start. Oh dang, I haven't played as an orc yet, but starting it with 3 cooldown, that's pretty good. Pretty good, you can roll a lot of dice. After you pick your class, you're also, oh, there's a Khajiit. I forgot to, they were hiding there. Classic Khajiit. You also then pick your class. You can do the standard jailbreaking scenario that every Elder Scrolls game has, and there are some ways to determine what type of ability you are going to be. But essentially, these will give you abilities that you can get over the course of the game and build up as you go through. So you'll pick one of these classes, you'll pick one of these races, and that will form the basis of your character creation. So in this instance, let's say we're a Wood Elf, and we're also a Dragon Knight. You will set your health stat to where it is. So I would start with 5 health, grab your chip, grab your health chips, and be ready to put yourself on a map in true Chip Theory Games stacking chip style. I would add my stamina, 1, 2, 3. I would add my magicka. I would take my standard combat skill dice, which you can put this combat anywhere, but we're going to leave it here for the purposes of example. And I would set my cooldown to 2. This indicates how many dice I can get when I reroll, when I work through the system. Your character is now created. You're also going to be building different skill lines for your character which every time you get a skill line, like we have the combat skill, which everybody has to start, you will get a little cheat sheet which indicates what do the dice do? What do the dice do when you get them? And you will have the opportunity to get more dice for different things. If I had the two-handed skill, I would also have another skill line that appears here, and I would get to start to add two-handed dice to my battle mat as well. This character creation is one of the best parts of the game. This character creation offers the idea of potential. It is a moment where you get to play and you get to envision, what is your character going to be? What build are you going to try this time? Where you eagerly sort through all the different skill trees and think, oh, I haven't played someone with acrobatics yet. Maybe I will go to level 4 acrobatics. What does that do? How does this build work? What can I experiment with? What dice am I going to get over the course of the game that I'm going to get to add to my abilities, as here building them out over and over until you have so many dice on your mat that you can then roll with complete abandon against another villain as they occur and appear on the map and appear on your journey. This is the time for theory crafting. This is the time for hoping that you'll get to dive into a different feeling from something you've experienced before. You'll also pick a map. In this case, this was the last one that I was playing. I was playing in the expansion with the expansion Valenwood. You'll pick a map, you'll pick a random guild, which really doesn't have any effect on the game and you don't even need to worry about it because you can take one action that's fairly minimal and it's a big barrel of who cares for most of the time. You might interact with it once, but you get that choice. You know, you're working with a new guild and you get to take a different starting quest because of that specific guild. Grab the Valenwood one. So if this instance, if I were doing the Psychic Order or the Psychic Order, I would look in my map or the Gazetteer. I would flip over in the pages until I find the Psychic Order. It would tell me my starting location. It would tell me my quest objectives, and you would play that as your scenario. So the 9 guilds, which I think there's 9, that appear in the game are used more to randomize your starting setup, what scenario you're going to play, what path you're going to take to the end game. This is a game that will play over 3 campaigns, but 3 game sessions, but really it's 2 game sessions of the normal flow, and then it is a final boss fight that is basically the same for every province. Or there's only one end battle in each province book, which once you fight, you know that's the battle that's going to happen. That's going to be the layout. But this is exciting. This is an exciting part of the game. This is so exciting. You get to get immersed in the lore. You read your text. You say, this is my objective. You set your little token out on the map wherever you're starting, and you know that you're going to be moving around to different aspects on the map and maybe fighting some battles and visiting towns, and you have your whole life ahead of you. And then you start playing the game. And so what the game essentially will boil down to is a choice between having positive encounters. You have a deck of positive encounters based upon the place that you're visiting. You shuffle in some general encounters with them, these positive encounters here. You'll also have a bunch of, you guessed it, negative encounters. Negative encounters that again will determine kind of what battle you're going to have, who you're going to stumble upon, the type of monsters that you might face, if it's going to be one of the 3 different battle types. And then you will have visits to the town, which are all located in the book, and it will tell you a bunch of different things about the town, but mainly how many items there are, how many different skill lines you can learn, if the inn is open, and one unique thing. The towns feel very similar and are often used just as a way to get items, to farm items, to take the time to up-level yourself, getting different items or getting different potential skill lines as you kind of dive through a skill bag, hoping that the skill that you want to try to master will pop up this time. The towns won't give you experience points, but the positive encounters and the negative encounters will give you, honestly, around the same amount of experience points, give or take. Battles will always give you a little bit more experience points or a few more experience points, but as it stands, they both will give you something. You see in this one, you'll get 1 experience point and 1 experience point, and there you get 2 experience points and 2 experience points. The towns and the general encounters, essentially, right, they're there so that you don't have to fight countless battles, because the battles do take a long time. And if you want to cram this into a reasonable play session, or maybe a little bit over a reasonable play session, you can't be always fighting all these battles, especially with 12 days. You're not going to get 12 battles in. It would take way too long. So you need some sort of filler that will make you feel like you're making progression across the map, that will give you somewhere to stop and have a fun encounter and give you that sense of choose your own adventure, right? Because Skyrim or Elder Scrolls isn't all about fighting, it's also about adventure. It's also about interacting with the townspeople and talking to them and seeing the limited amount of phrases that they have to offer. But essentially, if you've seen one encounter or one town, you've basically seen them all. They give you a definite nice break from the constant battling, and they are absolutely necessary to the game design. But you've seen it. If you're a fan of chip theory games, you also probably know their battle system. A lot of people have compared this game and have said this game is Too Many Bones 2.0, and I have been one of the only people who has rejected that notion, but I see the comparison. You have 3 different types of battles, and the clashes which take place on this clash map definitely feel the most like the previous iteration. You will start somewhere on the map. Technically, you'll usually start with an entrance tile, and then you will draw from the bag, seeding baddies up to your experience points, which I really like. As you gain experience, you're going to be facing harder baddies. You're going to first start with level 1s, who will then become level 5s, who will then become level 10s, and then become level 20s. And so you'll see the battlefield with all different types of these minions, depending upon the experience that you're having, and oftentimes the goal is kill them all. Each one of these minions will have, of course, attached to them a different keyword or a different combination of keywords in the what is to be expected from a chip theory games game, a large sheet of keywords telling you how the people behave. They all will behave differently, the hope being that each monster you face feels a little bit different, that you will require a number of different tactics to fight these monsters. Essentially what all these keywords boil down to are different ways to stop you from dealing damage to these chips, or different ways to hurt you. Even here on the field, we have ethereal, meaning that they can't be damaged by anything other than magic. Recover, meaning that they will recover health equal to the number of players at the end of the round. Then this one has dodge, which is if you roll a bunch of dice and you fail to hit on all of them, they'll negate damage for every single dice that missed, which I think is cool. Vine snare, which reels you in closer and I think makes you drain a dice. Oh yeah, that one doesn't reel you in. You'd think that something with a vine snare would pull you in, but that's different. That of course is restrain. Vine snare just makes you drain a dice, which means a dice that you used goes away. You don't get to recover it as the game goes on. We have colossal, which adds in additional health chips for the number of dice that you've managed to accrue, again, scaling to the difficulty. We have elusive, which means you can't even hit it unless you started next to it. And you have rally, which means if you kill it, it basically downgrades into something else unless it's the last person left on the board. All of these, this whole sheet, are meant to give the people different behavior, including the native skills, which honestly I find the most annoying because they change based upon what province you're exploring. It's fine, it's good, I like the variation, it just requires investment. And that's sort of going to be the salient point of this review and the real sticking point on if you're gonna like this game or not. That's your basic clash. Basically, you're gonna kill everything. A dungeon is the same. However, a dungeon will give you a standard setup of tiles that's a different orientation than the clash and show you where you're going to be dropping people and different keywords. Each province will have like 1 or 2 dungeons on them. Often the final boss will use these dungeons as their final staging ground. And then finally, you have my favorite part of the game, the most exciting and definitely the longest encounters, which are the delves. So in delves, you start out with nothing on the map. You start out with just your entrance tile. And then you flip over a card and add in that shape onto the map. That's the shape that then has spewed forth from the ground. You just need to make sure that these entrance tiles are touching, and then we'll also have a special effect for that particular category and tell you how many people are spawned there based upon the number of players, which again, you'll draw from the bag and populate. Okay, we got a level 10 there, boom, and then you will have to fight your way through the dungeon, dealing with whatever effects the room will get you, and often try to uncover a certain number of these blue rooms, which once you've uncovered enough, you say, okay, the delve's over, we got what we wanted, we explored enough, I guess we retreat, we're fine, ta-da. game's over. These are sort of a little bit less thematic than the clashes where you kill everybody because you're like, okay, I guess I found a piece of loot and I run away. Or the idea is that you've explored the full dungeon. You've seen all the rooms that have had that and what they've had to offer. You've looted as much as you can and you're heading out and you're going to find something else, right? You can't just keep on exploring because there is nowhere else to explore once you've hit a certain size. This dungeon is only 3 sky shards large, and so you just get to explore for that. Those are the 3 different types of combat, which feel different when describing them. But I think the key here with the combat is that eventually it's going to feel very much the same every time. And not in a bad way, but the variation is in fact going to come, at least it was for me, going to come from your specific character and the differences that you get to experience. And that's why, for me, the first session, as I'm growing my character, always seems to provide me with the most interest and the most intrigue. Once you're done that first session, you're going to have a board that's, I don't know, 70% filled. You know, when I was playing this with my friend Zach and we got to the end of our first session, we had something like 24 experience points. And then when we got to the final boss, we had like 37. So in that terms of ratio, 66% of it was done. And that has kind of remained consistent for the other times that I've played. But that first session, when the world is your oyster, you don't know what's going on, you're ready to explore, you're building out your character, you're figuring out what all these dice are, that is where Elder Scrolls shines. And then session 2, in terms of the story, is then, okay, I know what my dice do. Now I get to use them more, I get to roll them a bunch, I get to kill a bunch of people and see my combos pop off and feel really strong. And then session 3 is, oh, I have another big battle. Yep, my dice are still really strong. I still know my combos. Let's see if I can deal with all these people coming towards me. Oh, I don't really care whatsoever about the narrative. It's a final battle. I'll roll my dice and I'll just be done with it. This is the overarching feel of the game, and this, or at least was the feel for me. And this brings me to, I guess, my only point in this review. If you want to distill it down, this is my only point. I think this is a game that is designed to be a lifestyle game. I think this is a game that is designed for a board game table. And I think it is a game designed for one person to experience, and that's it. I have enjoyed looking into this game a lot more in the solo aspect of it than I have when I was playing with Zach. So I learned with Zach, we did a 2-player campaign. We played and learned through the Dized tutorial. They offer a Dized tutorial instead of going through the other book that's over there, another full book about the tutorial. They recommend you do the Dized tutorial. And I am a person who, I have found out, I do not like quick start guides. I don't work well with them, but I think the Dized Elder Scrolls tutorial is the best quick start guide that I have experienced. It walks you through enough. It didn't make me go back to the rule book too much. There were only a few things that I missed. It really introduced all of the mechanics that I wanted to do. And so Zach came over and we worked through that together, and we sat and we essentially read the rule book in small chunks. That's what the tutorial is. It just is you reading the rule book and then moving some slight pieces and rolling a couple of dice to make you feel like you're engaged, but really you're just reading the rulebook. So Zach and I did this 2-player campaign. That took us about 15 hours for the full thing. And keep in mind, this is sort of my primary gaming partner. I've been playing through Iridia, another large campaign game with Zach. We've been having a great time with it. We are used to long game sessions. We are used to gaming for a full day together. He's no slouch to rules. We got the rules down well, but we weren't really enjoying doing this together. And I think reading through the rules had some impact on that. I didn't want Zach to come for the first game. I wanted to play a solo campaign first, and then I wanted to play one with Zach. But I kind of did it in the reverse. And so I found with 2 players at the beginning, it really impacted my own pace to sit there and just sit with the world. You know, I think it is taking great care to try to at least push forward this world, try to push forward these things. And I mean, honestly, in the first introduction for the jailbreak scenario, it was more well written than anything that we have seen in our 12 sessions of Iridia, this open world campaign adventure. Right? The writing is fine, the writing is good, but it's fine. It's something that Like, it feels like to me you want to sit alone and experience. And I think that is impacted by just the sheer amount of choices that you get with that character creation at the beginning and what you get as you go through. While I liked seeing what Zach was experimenting with, throughout the entire campaign, I didn't really know what his dice were doing. I knew what they did, but I didn't know the specifics, and I didn't know the reasons why he chose those things, because there were so many other like little insular decisions for us to make that we didn't really communicate or cooperate in a way that I have felt in other games. And I felt that even too way back in the tutorial, but I thought I kind of sloughed it off based upon it being a tutorial. I remember playing with Maggie from Thinker Themer, like in a Dice Tower West with a Chip Theory rep. And I remember being like, oh, I'm not really interacting with you. Like, I don't feel like we are building a relationship. Whereas in other co-op games, it sort of forces you to interact and forces you to go on that journey with somebody. And I felt I didn't want to be spending that time with somebody. I wanted to be spending it on my own. And I love playing games with Zach. In fact, playing games with Zach, I generally need to play all review games with him, especially if I've been having a bad experience with other players or other play groups, rather. I make sure to play that game with Zach and just Zach because I know that he's going to make me have a good time with it. And so that's why this really stands out as a real outlier that we didn't. I mean, we had a fine time. It was good. It was enjoyable. But after the 15 hours, we both looked at each other and we went, yeah, I probably would have had a better time playing Iridia, playing literally anything else on the shelf behind me. Playing 7 games of White Castle was the expression that Zach used, the example that Zach used, just because like hanging out with each other and playing games with each other is fun. And the game didn't really do anything to support that. And so that got me thinking, and then I sat down with myself, and I started going through these characters. I started going through all the different skill paths, and I was like, yeah, I want to try a Dragon Knight two-handed. I just want to go heavy on two-handed and heavy on fatigue and try to find those items that will let me get rid of fatigue, and find these different combinations. Like, there's a ton of different items that feel very powerful. There's so many items here, all divided into different categories, all doing fun stuff. Some single use, some persistent, some armor. So many of these items feel really fun, and that is why you are going to spend the majority of your town actions just getting items, because you're like, hey, these are great. These are cool, I want to play around with this system. But when I sat down with this game by myself and started looking through this, I was like, you know what? I understand maybe who this is for. I think chip theory games are designed with there's a very high ceiling of investment, which you must do to sort of unlock the game. And honestly, sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes you're like, I don't care. I don't want to sit here with this giant friggin' paper of all these different slight changes of every baddie, because the puzzles feel pretty much the same. I stand next to you. I don't. I run away. I don't. You have a variable amount of health. Honestly, the most annoying part is, oh man, that monster has so much armor and I'm not dealing enough damage. It doesn't matter what their skill is. It matters, can I get past their armor threshold? Sometimes I don't care about this overhead. Like, I don't want to engage with this overhead. But I think if you are the type of person who is okay engaging with that, then this can become an enjoyable experience. And so I got to thinking, I honestly feel like a lot of the sessions are too long. They should be 3-hour sessions if you want to do a quick campaign, and they drag, depending upon how slow you read, depending upon how many fights you choose to encounter. I found myself choosing to not fight because it was the optimal move. I was like, no, I shouldn't be fighting because A, it's going to extend the length of this campaign. It's going to extend the length of the time that I have to spend with this game, which isn't necessarily a good sign. And also, in terms of the main map, like, oh yeah, this one doesn't have a back because it's the expansion. The optimal play is to not get damaged. The optimal play is just to go to the easy encounters. Try to do as many easy encounters as you can. Do as many town encounters as you can. Fight a minimal amount because you're still going to be getting XP. And the less XP that you get, there's no penalization for the amount of days that you spend. In Too Many Bones, there was a system where every day you spent, every encounter, you made a choice, the baddie pool would increase. So it didn't matter if you were wasting days, because you knew there was a penalty for that. There was absolutely a penalty, and that your next battle would be tougher. And if you didn't do a battle now, and you didn't capitalize on getting experience points or battle points and building up those stats, you would pay for it later. Like, you better make sure taking a break from a battle was warranted. Here, no, you shouldn't. You should just go to the final boss without having fought a single battle if you can help it, because you're rarely penalized for it. And so I thought that was a bit weird in the design choice. But then when I sort of sat with it a little bit more, I realized that this is a game for people who have a board game table. You know, this is a game for people who can afford to have the space to leave this game out set up. I've had this game set up on my table for 10 days, and that is an enormous amount of time for my space. My space is small. Whenever you see me, there's a reason why I film in my closet over there. There's just a little like alcove that I've turned into a closet area. It's because putting everything out and setting it up takes a lot of work, and it takes up my entire living space because I live in a small space. And so having it out on the table, or having a game out on the table, is generally not a luxury that I can afford to do. It takes up way too much space. If I have people, I can't have people over, essentially. I cannot have guests. And so that is why I must film this review. I was like, I'm keeping this on my table and I'm playing it until I can film the review, so then I can clean up my house and then I can have people over again. Zach not included, because he's always used to this because we film a lot of stuff together. But it's a lot. And so having this on my table and realizing, oh, this is the sort of game where, like, I want to go and I want to spend an hour and I want to look at the skill lines and I want to think, oh yeah, this level 4 two-handed dice seems so sick. I can't wait to get there. And I want to go have a little encounter, and that's it. Then I want to walk away. And then I can come back and I can have an encounter. I can go to the town. I can get some more items. I can maybe fight a battle, and then I want to walk away. And again, let me be clear. This isn't due to a lack of stamina on my part. Let me be clear. Stamina is not an issue. Okay, I can go for hours, is what I'm trying to say. Like long games, I love long games. I love sitting down and doing the same thing for a very long time. Whenever Zach and I play Iridia, we will film 9 hours in one shot, because we are enjoying ourselves and because we're like continuing along. But here, it began to feel like a slog, and I think that is sort of baked into the design. And I also think that's okay. And I think this is sort of baked into the design of all chip theory games. I meant to say this at the beginning, but with the expansion approaching, I was wondering to myself, do I get the expansion? I thought maybe this video should also serve a updated 5 reasons you shouldn't back, because no doubt it's going to break over $1 million. And I feel the pull to get the expansion. I feel the pull to get the additional heroes, the additional skill lines, the additional dice, the additional everything, because I feel that pull and I feel that promise of new customization. And I think if you are not that person who wants to have this out on their table for an extended period of time, you absolutely shouldn't be getting the expansion. You know, if you're not able to have this out in an extended period of time, maybe your situation is very similar to mine. Maybe you don't have a designated gaming space, or you have children who might, or pets, cats who might jump on it and push the pieces around. This is not the game for you. This game is meant to be a contemplation. You know, it's meant to be a lifestyle game, albeit a lifestyle game with like 3 classes. Because you have like the sword class, the sneaky class, and the magic class, right? Like, I have the ultimate Elder Scrolls experience in front of me. I do. I am very blessed to have the ultimate Elder Scrolls experience in front of me. I have this incredible custom insert designed to make setup and everything efficient, you know? This brilliant friggin' tray, which has all the different baddies that you're going to add in, the unique ones specific to the province, the extra ones go in, the quest baddies, etc. I am absolutely primed in a way that nobody else is. This beautiful dice chest here with all the different dice that you can pass out the skill lines when somebody has a different skill line. Like, I am primed to have the best experience. Even the folios where you can have your character and keep your character stats, which I have used and quite enjoy, being able to have something that you can just flip through and contemplate. But I think this is sort of the essence of why people like the game. It's because you have a thing that you can sit and you can read and you can contemplate and you can imagine And I think it is absolutely not a game for everyone. I think it is perhaps the least game for everyone that Chip Theory has maybe made. That's not true. Let's look at the Chip Theory canon. Too Many Bones has pages and pages where you need to sit and read through your gear lock for 20 minutes before you even start. That's the common thing that people tell you about it. Burn Cycle has a inscrutable theme and a really bad sideboard, but essentially it's pretty accessible, although you do have to go from room to room to room, so there is a little bit of a setup there, and there's a lot of waiting in your turns. I don't know, I think Burn Cycle is the most accessible out of Chip Theory's canon, out of things that I've played. Cloudspire, I've never played. Cloudspire has the most overhead that true fanatics really need to dive into. These are games that are made for people that have sat out for ages. These are games that are meant to be on your table forever. That is why they're all plastic. They don't want this ever leaving your table, and they create a rules set around it to make sure that it doesn't. I love this battle system way more than any other Chip Theory game. The main thing to do with this little cooldown track that you can level up as you go, and it's the amount of dice that you get back. So you can keep on rolling your awesome dice combos and forget about every other dice, or you can build a more balanced thing where you're like, okay, now I'm gonna roll these 4 dice. Boom, those are gonna go into the next thing, and then I'll roll these dice on my next attack. You can chain attacks together for super powerful turns by adding fatigue to your cooldown track, so that it'll take you even longer to recover these things. Or you can upgrade your refresh so you're refreshing an insane amount of dice that you can then roll over and over again. It's way better in terms of character creation than Too Many Bones ever could, because Too Many Bones is like, hey, here's a dice, it's cool, you get to roll it once. Fuck you. Screw you. You roll it once. Here, you actually get to play with the character creation part, the thing that you've built, and get to dabble with all the fun skills. And that's why you want to spend time with these skill trees. You want to spend time exploring them, feeling cool when you finally get enough XP to get the exciting level. Like I was playing with a destruction staff last time I played, and man, I was exploding chests all over the place. I felt so cool because I had earned those dice, and I knew what my build was. But I essentially ended up just being like, all right, well, here's all the dice that are good, and I'm gonna just roll these every time because those are the ones that do damage, with like a little dice here and a little dice there thrown in, right? And didn't go through that cycle. Or Zach had a really weird heavy armor build where he wanted to fill up his cooldown track because he had things that, while they were in the cooldown track, they continue to activate. I think that balance is really, really fun, but it doesn't stop the battles from feeling exactly the same every time. Like, they don't feel exactly the same. You know, I say that sort of flippantly, but it's that idea, it's that same feel, right? And I think if you really gel with that, that's great because you're gonna get a lot of it. And if you don't, then it'll slowly wear off as we go through. I have a hard time with Elder Scrolls. I'm not really a solo player, and yet this is a game that I think is best for solo. This is a game where I want to have that space. I want to have a house where I have a table downstairs, and in between filming videos or in between doing work, I could go down, I could plink away at it, I could set up a scenario, I could roll it, and then I could walk away. This is a cake that cannot be eaten whole, because when you do, you realize that it's the same bite over and over again. But it sort of relies on the possibilities that can exist, the possibilities that are hidden in all the super powered loot that you'll never get through. You know, that all might have that game-breaking combo. The possibilities that the next tile you flip over in the delve might be different. The possibility that all of these keywords are going to feel different when they don't. And honestly, I don't think it's a bad thing. You know, I feel like I'm framing it as like a really bad thing, but I think it's not good, it's not bad, it's just Chip Theory. That's just what they do. That's what they require from you. That is why they've developed an avid fan base, because they have found their people that resonate with the systems in a way that they're voracious for it. Maybe they've found that perfect timeline where they can exist in the liminal space permanently. I personally like the variations on the same thing until I don't, until I'm full of cake. And I think because of my own space limitations, I am going to have less of a time to engage with this thing, even though I want to. It's a thing that I want to continue to engage with up until a point. I think I just want to do session 1 over and over because I want to build different things. And I think that's where a lot of the ideas coming for the new content are coming from, because people love that sensation of building. I think people have resonated with that sensation of building. And I think that's why they're voracious for more content, because they want to explore the new sensation of building, what the new sensation of building has to offer. And I think that's okay, but I also think you have to recognize if that is your reason for getting the expansion, because you are hoping that that new sensation of building will fill the empty void that the game provides you. And I don't think it will. I don't think any expansion for this game will ever change your mind from the original. I think it will give you more of what you like, or it will just put off the inevitable. But I honestly don't think that an expansion could ever change this game or this experience, because I fully expect the expansions to be my favorite type of expansions and just be the more of what you already have. I've seen some of the stuff, right? You're going to get more skills, more classes, more skill lines, new dice. You can be vampires, you can be werewolves, different original abilities. But I think I put that out because I know some people on my Patreon and my Discord have that thought that that's going to change everything. And I don't think it will. I think chip theory games are very clear with what they give you with a game. I think they require you to invest into it a certain amount. Sometimes that amount gets stale very quickly. But also there's this magical quality of chip theory games that, like, when you put it away, you forget about the stale. You forget about that it does get stale, and you think, no, there were some really fun elements in there, and that's what draws you back. And I think if you're able to find that balance of just diving into those delightful things and then stepping away when it becomes stale, and giving it, a few days and then coming back, I think this is the type of game that really serves that format. I don't know if I've ever felt that about another game, really. And that's from campaign games to non-campaign games. I don't consider this a campaign game. I don't believe it is a campaign game. I think it is a long game that they broke down into 3 parts because they realized, oh man, this game is long. We have to break it up somehow. And they realized, oh, people want to actually play with their cool dice and not roll them just once? Okay, we'll make the game longer so you can do that. There's a campaign mode in Too Many Bones, and it's I feel it's very similar to the campaign mode in essence of this. It's like, oh, you guys actually wanted to play with the stuff that you built? Okay, go for it. I think that's all that this campaign boils down to. I think The Elder Scrolls is one very long game that was chopped up into 3, like Henry IV. Or no, Henry IV is just part 2. Henry VI, one of the Henrys. And I think it needs to be enjoyed in that context. This is the weirdest that I felt about a game after sinking in, 25 hours? Usually after 25 hours with a game, I can feel like I know it. And in this, I do know it, but there's that sensation that there's something else that it has to offer. And I know it does, but I also know it's not really going to be that much. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to find it out. I'm excited to taste it. And then I'm excited to put it on the shelf for a long while. I don't think I can give this a score. I guess it's 3.5, 4, sits in that realm. Certainly 2-player is worse than single player. I don't think anybody should ever play this with any other person. I think that's awful. Because I think the amount of times that you want to sit and contemplate your own existence and your own mortality and the direction that you want your character to go, your other player might not be ready for that. And you'll have a weird sort of waiting game and balancing those things out. You have to find the perfect soulmate to be able to do it with 2 people. Really, you should just do it 2-handed and talk to yourself. But yeah, I think this game is for a very specific type of game. If that's not you, there are so many other better experiences on the shelf. Really, so many better experiences out there. But if it is you, it will give you a nice slow burn, a nice tinker, a nice time to slowly build out something, see the result, revel in the result, and then walk away. And I think that's okay. I'm not upset that this game exists. And I can't say that for every game. I want to come back to Tamriel, and I want to roll more dice. But also, I kind of want my house back. That's it. That's all I got for you. Thanks for sticking around, hanging out. I know the majority of you will probably have already played Elder Scrolls and are just wanting to talk about it more because it is best played in a vacuum, and you want more experiences. So I hope you get that. Drop your comments down below, your thoughts, your experiences with your world of Tamriel, why you love it more than anything in the world, and if me saying basically the same thing over and over and over and over resonated with you. I hope it did. And if it didn't, well, I liked hanging out with you anyway. My name's Chris George. I don't know a catchphrase, but like even just looking at these sort of sheets get me excited. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to roll 2 combat dice against people. I want to play Dragon Knight solo so I can just ignore the defense on everybody. That's friggin' wicked. So many of these like abilities feel cool. And I think that's the key to chip theory, is that they make your abilities feel really cool, and they give the baddies all the kind of boring abilities. So I hope you have lots of cool abilities in your life and you have a great day. And yeah, that's it. Oh God, I've talked a long time.